Jay here for Straight for Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen. We're live. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Happy Father's Day to you. Want to talk about, not about Father's Day, about Manchester United, all the latest Manchester United news. So make sure you are getting involved, hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Big thank you to everyone who has supported the channel. We are now at 800,000 subscribers, which is just phenomenal. Thank you. Zanny's in the chat. Says finally catch a live. Wayne Davis, Brian Casey. Sorry I was a little bit late. I was just getting myself together. Real recognize real. Akash K. Good to see all the usual suspects. Brian Osland says, let's see what disaster today brings. Although, to be fair, he's done a little laughing emoji there. So I don't think he's being serious about disaster. We don't need to have a disaster, do it in sunny Eccles today. It's nice and sunny here in Salford. Let's talk then. Should we start with this whole Viktor Gyokeres thing? Because this all popped off, didn't it, yesterday? I think it was Fabrizio Romano. One or two others have said it as well, but we'll just go with the Romano post. I think if you can bear with me, I just had it and I've just got off my screen. That's great darts, that, isn't it? Yeah, he said Viktor Gyokeres' priority is to join Arsenal. Well, Steve McLaren then, you know. Arsenal this summer, despite calls from Manchester United in the recent weeks. Gyokeres always an option amid Sesko talks with no deal sealed so far. Arsenal keep assessing situation. United remain keen, but believe deal now unlikely. It's quite interesting this because we had Peter Hall from the iPaper on the brew on Friday, one of those rare brews where we actually talk about current Manchester United football. And he was saying that it didn't feel like there was a massive clamour from the Manchester United side to get Viktor Gyokeres. Wasn't really many solid links there indicating that Manchester United had either put a bid in, were ready to make a bid, had got to a place where they were happy with the price that was being mooted, and then they were ready to pay that. Personal terms and all that wasn't agreed. It was just a case of a little bit of logic, really. There's a player that played for Ruben Amorim, scored loads of goals for Ruben Amorim, fits in an Amorim system, has since carried on scoring loads of goals since Amorim left Sporting, and is available. He is a player that would be for sale, or is for sale this summer. But there's not much there to make you think that Manchester United are ready to buy him or are going to buy him. And I've not seen anything as yet that wholly convinces me that we are going to buy him. There was a time when I thought it could happen, or I think, yeah, well, in terms of like that deal's definitely going to happen. We're not quite there yet. Now, I think it could still, and I think one of the reasons it could still, and I've said this on other videos, is the fact that there aren't that many suitors for him. Arsenal, he wants to go to Arsenal. Fine, I get it. I don't agree with it because United are a bigger club, but I get it. Arsenal in the Champions League, challenging for titles, Champions League semi-final, so there's a good chance he could get them the goals to even go all the way in that competition. I understand all that. But they're either going to go for him or Sesko. I don't see them bringing in both. It's one striker up top now, isn't it, for Arsenal and for everyone else. So if they go for Sesko, he ain't going to Arsenal. Okay, where else is he going? Who else is in for him? Maybe Chelsea, but they've just bought Liam Delap. So are they going to bring in another striker? I doubt it. Who else? Let me know what you think. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think there's another show in town? Akash K says, imagine my shock. Mitten was right all along. Those who gave Andy Mitten abuse on Gyokeres better apologise now. So when Andy Mitten was saying these similar things about Viktor Gyokeres, about there not being any sort, I don't want to get it wrong what he said. I'm just going to try and find it. But it was around this sort of a similar thing of not really having any concrete evidence to suggest that Viktor Gyokeres was going to come to United. People were sort of laying into him. So there we go. I found it. Andy Mitten on Gyokeres to United. This was earlier on this week. I spoke to senior people at the club. He wasn't a name that I heard. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I have got no evidence that they're trying to sign him. Mitten knows his stuff with United. Now, he said, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Things change, things develop. Maybe United do put a bid in. Maybe United sell some players and we get to a place where we can buy Viktor Gyokeres. But as it stands now, it doesn't feel like there's a lot going on there, which is kind of, not backed up, but ties in with what Romano's saying then. If Romano's saying, well, actually, there's Gyokeres prefers Arsenal. Maybe Gyokeres prefers Arsenal because he knows he ain't coming to Manchester United. What do you think? Get involved in the chat in the comments. Do you want Viktor Gyokeres? Do you think we're going to get Viktor Gyokeres? Do you think Manchester United could end up signing him because it's not beyond the realms of possibility. And who knows as the transfer window gets on? I mean, we're only 2 weeks into the transfer window. We've had 1 week off, so it's a bit early to start getting too carried away. But it does feel like it's gone a little bit cool on the Viktor Gyokeres front. And every journalist I speak to says logically you can understand it. Scores goals, knows Amorim knows him, fits the system. United need a striker, all the rest of it. But there's not much there to indicate it's going to happen or it is definitely on. It just feels like it could happen. I feel like could rather than will. That's where I'm at the minute. That might change. You ask me tomorrow, I might give you a different opinion. But as it stands right now, all the noises indicate it's a possibility rather than a probability, should we say? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, actually thought it was going to happen. Now I'm a bit like, all the journalists we trust and who are pretty reliable are saying, not really. Glenn Holland Python says, what about Mbeumo? I'm going to get to him in a minute. Refresher says, have managed. What? I don't know what that's all about. Sorry. She is curvy. Says, any Mbeumo news? We're going to get into that in a minute. We'll have the latest on that because we had a bit of a twist in that tale, didn't we? On Friday, I think it was Darren Lewis who's been quite vocal is the right word. He's been quite active on the Mbeumo to Spurs links. He said that Spurs have put a bid in. Doesn't feel like many others are following up with that one, which is a bit of a surprise. Like, if Spurs put this bid in and no one else is reporting it, that's odd. What's going on there? We'll get into that in a minute. I just want to talk, before we get to Mbeumo, I do want to talk a little bit about Ekitike because there's a story in the Mirror, I think, from Simon Mullock, which was yesterday evening, that says about Gyokeres setting his sights on joining Arsenal after telling United that he won't be moving to Old Trafford. But it's understood the Reds have already started looking at alternative targets and that they are ready to ramp up their interest in Eintracht Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike. Ekitike, the France under 21 international, has been attracting the attention of Liverpool after scoring 22 goals for the German club last season. But Frankfurt's £80 million valuation of the former PSG forward will have to be lowered significantly before United table a bid. It also says here that Arsenal sporting director, Andrea Berta, has made his mission to add more goals to Mikel Arteta's squad next season. Don't know about whether Arsenal are going to get Sesko and Ekitike or Gyokeres and Ekitike. It feels like one or the other. In terms of Liverpool, they've just spent 150 million euros, I think it is, on Florian Wirtz. I know he's a completely different type of player. So Ekitike, could they still go for a striker? Potentially, but can they spend 80 million quid on top of the 150 million euros it spent? I don't know. Manchester United, though, let's be honest, haven't got 80 million quid lying around because we still need to sell to buy. Christian Riley says, morning, Jay. Let's push for Mateta now. He's a big fan of Jean-Philippe Mateta. He wants to see him coming in. He also says Mateta, Visa, Anthony Robinson, Dibu Martinez. Joshua Bower, good to see Joshua Bower in the chat. Lads, lasses, would you rather not sign a striker at all or still sign Gyokeres, knowing we are his backup move? That's a good question. Would you still have Gyokeres if it was a case of you getting him because no one else wants him? I probably would. But get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Christian Riley back again says, if they're not from the Premier League, I don't want them. Manish, the chat's a bit crackers. Manish Bandari says, Jay, Hoyland's first season, Ekitike, considering he did it in the Prem, 85 million FFS is a red flag. Get Osimhen ASAP. James Barry says, need a Cavani regen. James Churchill says, I don't get the Mateta hype. Weird. Jed91 says, Wirtz is overhyped. Raymond Nordal, says, Gyokeres off means Mateta one step closer, and I'm happy with that. Real recognizes Real, says they aren't going to get two of them. None of them will run to play second fiddle. If you get a striker this summer, you're getting one, aren't you? Realistically. Unless you're getting one who's a backup, like just you're getting a youngster or you're getting a player that's past it. I don't think you're going to get two strikers who are big money, who's both, relatively prolific or first team players who are going to come to a club at the same time or in the same window. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. That's why I don't think Chelsea will go for another striker. I'd be very surprised. I already think they've got a bit of a slight headache there with Nicholas Jackson and Liam Delap. Are they going to bring in another striker as well? Probably not. Arsenal, if they get Sesko, are they going to get Gyokeres? No. Or Ekitike? No. I don't see it happening. Manchester United, we're going to get one striker if we get one striker. Let me know what you think. A full named Huggy says Ekitike will cost too much. Frankfurt, always quite dumb price and usually get something close. So he's saying Frankfurt do drive a hard bargain and they usually get what they want. Martin McComedy says Gyokeres' agent played himself. Manish Bandari says, Jay, do you think Osimhen is playing around with Napoli by not accepting terms of any club? I don't know what's going to happen with Viktor Osimhen. Doesn't want to go to Saudi, which I get. I don't think a player of his caliber, no disrespect to the Saudi league, should be going there at that time of life. Is he going to go back to Napoli? Probably not. Looks like the relationship's out there. Galatasaray still want him. We'll have to wait and see. Glenn F says exactly what we want. A striker or two who wants to come to Old Trafford. He also mentioned, I think it was Glenn who mentioned about Jonathan David. There was talk of Jonathan David going to, was it Napoli? That's gone quiet. Jonathan David, who is available, I think, on free from Lille. Joshua Bowater says, can we just get Danny Welbeck, please? Don't set me off. That would be like when everyone got excited because Ronaldo returned for me. Getting Danny Welbeck. I miss Danny so much. Tribesman says Jonathan David for free. Not heard a lot though, have we? With that United coming in for Jonathan David. Nothing. And I think that's been very sort of fan driven. I mean, a lot of that driving has been done by me, to be honest with you. But I don't see a lot of news reports or reliable stories saying, look, Manchester United are in for Jonathan David. It does feel like it's all gone a little bit quiet. Let me know what you think. Give me your links. Do you want Mateta? There was talk that he was going to sign a new deal at Palace, so he was going to commit to Palace. What's going on with them as well with the European football? That all seems to have gone a little bit strange, doesn't it? So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. He's a popular sort of guy. I just want to say here about this story on Sky Sports Premier League. So it says here, Spurs have confirmed the signing by Munich forward in a deal worth 29.8 million with the France under-21 international signing a contract at the North London club until 2031. So a long-term deal there. What is that? 6-year deal, sorry. Sky Sports Premier League reporting it. He's Spurs have done a little post as well. I think that's the official Spurs account. Yeah, they've done a post saying, let me tell you something, Mattis is here to stay. So my question there is, does that affect our thinking around Mbeumo? Now, they could quite easily get both, but have Spurs have they just spent 30 million on Mattis sell, as well as the 70 million pound bid for Bryan Mbeumo? That's basically your Champions League money, isn't it? Gone. Seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't know. I have my doubts on that one. I like Darren Lewis. He's a good journalist. And if he's running with stories, he's obviously got it from somewhere. But I'm just curious about this whole Mbeumo 70 million pound bid, especially when they've just bought Matthias Sell. It seems a bit weird that no one is really running with that bid other than Darren Lewis. Darren Lewis is the guy that sort of got that story, had that story, but no one else seems to be running with it. Let me know in the chat in the comments. What do you think? Because I don't know. There's every chance that Spurs could say, look, we want Matthias Sell and we want Bryan Mbeumo. I get it. I'm not saying it has to be one or the other. They both play in different positions. It makes sense. They can both play in different positions. It makes sense. But then I'm thinking, really, 100 million pound bids or spend this weekend from Spurs? Has Daniel Levy just gone, right? Yeah, let's go mad this week. Christian Riley says Valencia, Young, Berbatov, Tevez, Carrick, VDS, Rooney, Rio, York, Terry, Colroy, and more, all from the Prem. We need to shop in the Premier League. What you think about that? Akash K says Darren Lewis also said United have made a second bid from Mbeumo, which wasn't accurate, Jay. You're right. That wasn't, as everyone is telling us, that United didn't make a second bid. Respect for Ruben Amorim, says Amir Fikri. Lee Savage says one of the few United channels not delusional. I appreciate that. Very nice. Mateta is definitely staying at Palace, says Glenn F. It does feel like that. Lee Savage says, there's only 29 million for Tell, and separate funds will not affect the summer budget. So he's saying, look, don't worry about that. That doesn't mean that just because they bought Mateta Tell, they're not going to buy Bryan Mbeumo. I get that. It just seems weird that they've got the deal over the line for Tell now. That's done. They spend that money, or they've committed to spend that money. And the same week, they're putting in the bid for Bryan Mbeumo. Very active, isn't it? Very busy from Spurs. Is anyone questioning that at all? What do you think about this whole Mbeumo to Spurs thing? Because not many people are reporting that bid. Darren Lewis has ran with it. We've had, I think, Ben Jacobs saying that Bryan Mbeumo has told everyone that he wants to stay. Oh, sorry, he wants to go to United. Ornstein had that. Ornstein had, was it earlier last week, or it might have been earlier this week, that, I think, was it this week or last week? I can't remember. But basically, David Ornstein said that Bryan Mbeumo had indicated he wanted to go to Manchester United. Has that changed? Does that look like just because Thomas Frank has gone to Spurs that all of a sudden Bryan Mbeumo's gone, actually, yeah, I'll have a bit of Spurs? I don't know. Lee Savage says, I don't think we pay 70 million on Mbeumo, in all honesty. I think you're right. He's got, what has he got? A year left on his contract with an option for another year. Tamil says, even Fabrizio has said he wants United. Why would you want to play for Spurs? I mean, you could argue about the Champions League thing. Maybe he wanted to stay around London. I think that was one of the arguments being put forward. But as it stands at the minute, it does seem that no one's really going in with this story about Spurs putting up the money for Bryan Mbeumo and willing to pay 70 million quid and putting in a bid for 70 million quid. Loyalty to France, says Christian Riley. Potentially. Well, I don't know if that's enough. If you've got your heart set on going to Manchester United, then would you change that? United have put in a bid. I think it was 44 million plus 10 million in add-ons for Bryan Mbeumo. Definitely a test the water bid, wasn't it? Definitely a bid where you know they're not going to go, yeah, we'll have that. We'll give you for 40 odd million plus 10 million add-ons. Didn't feel like a realistic bid. Felt like let's just see how far away we are from this one. The second bid, I would expect to be around 55 million and 10 million in add-ons. I think you go another 10 million in your bid, plus 10 million in add-ons, and you make those add-ons relatively realistic. Ones that are happy for both clubs, like if he gets, or when he gets 20 Premier League goals for United, not saying in the season, but in general, you get another 2 million quid or whatever. Or when he makes 100 appearances for United, you get another 5 million quid. Things like that, not things like if he wins the Ballon d'Or, we'll give you 5 million, which I think is what we did with Anthony Martial. We at the time was the golden boy, don't forget. I mean, it was a bit silly now, but at the time, Anthony Martial's stock was quite high. Alex Hinchcliffe says, happy Father's Day, Jay. Thank you for that. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, or to anyone who's got a father, or to anyone who's not got a father anymore. Happy Father's Day to everyone who acknowledges it. Christian Riley says, Jay, Tottenham don't need Mbeumo. She's Kirby says, Jay, if we did get Gyokeres, wouldn't that cause an upset with fans due to only coming as Arsenal didn't want him, as we would be second? They'll spin it. We've seen this before. Players, if they come to your club, go, I always wanted to come to United. Don't believe everything you heard in the media. I never wanted to go to Arsenal. That was just a load of rubbish. Well, as soon as United were in from it, I wanted to come to Manchester United because they're the greatest club in the world. Glenn F says, I can see Levy trying to get Mbeumo just because he hates United so much. I don't know about that one, you know. I don't know if Daniel Levy's the guy that was would do that. Jay, I love you, mate, but Gyokeres was our first target. Andrew Higginson says, what's happening with it then? And also, every journalist we spoke to doesn't seem to indicate that United are going in for him that hard. Andy Mitten says that he hadn't heard anything about it. Everyone was, I think Laurie says it, you know, it kind of makes sense and you can see that. No, someone says everyone has a father, Jay. No, Tafara Phillips, some people's fathers have passed away. That was the point I was getting at. Andrew Higginson says he has turned us down based on Champions League. Surely that happened straight after the final, though. Why are we just hearing this now? And also, Ruben Amorim said, we don't want players that only want Champions League football. Was that an indication to Viktor Gyokeres? Well, it's early days yet. You have to wait and see. Brian Casey says, if Højlund was on his way to Inter, then we must be signing someone. I know he's been poor, but surely we let him leave without a replacement. Yeah, we don't just let Rasmus Højlund go out the door. In my opinion, I think we need another striker. I think even if Højlund stays, you need a striker. And especially if Højlund goes, definitely need another striker. I hunt for static says, in all honesty, any player who will choose Arsenal or Spurs over United is welcome to them. It takes a demon to thrive in hell, not a wimp. Thornster11 says, Jay, get Osimhen further down the line. We can set for a huge fee to Saudi, sell for a huge fee to Saudi to make to make profit. Glenn F says, you're telling me that Levy doesn't hate United and he's not just jealous of United. I'm telling you that Daniel Levy wouldn't spend 70 million quid because he hates United. That's what I'm genuinely saying. He'll spend 70 million quid if he wants a footballer. And I don't even think that, I think Daniel Levy hates a lot of other clubs as well. I don't think there's a particular Daniel Levy's obsessed with United, so he's going to spend 70 million quid just to get one over in United. I don't believe that at all. Bring back Veghorst, says Brian Casey. My missus will agree with that. Lucas says, Ireland is the best United can get. Dusty club with no pull. I'm guessing that Lucas isn't a Manchester United fan. Dusty club with no pull. I think you will find we're one of the biggest clubs in the world and certainly the biggest club in England. Lee Savvy says, Spurs are just doing what most teams do. United Spurs, as much as people don't want to believe it, are shopping in the same market. David Dewsnip says, get Vardy to coach Rasmus and Cheeto. Maybe. Akash K says, is Mammy Dave still playing? I'm not too keen on the Jamie Vardy idea, to be honest with you. But I know I've seen it a few times popping up. Jamie Vardy, he's been a very good player over the years. What is he, 37? Yes, the attackers could probably learn a thing or two about him. But come on, we need a bit more than that. I think we need a bit more than someone who's 37 years old. I get getting an experienced striker, but I'd like someone who's got a little bit left in the tank. And I don't really think Jamie Vardy has got much left in the tank. Dean Andrew says, with Cunha and Mbeumo and Osimhen, we're top 4 next season. Yep, but we've only got one of those players. So we need to get the other 2 in. Hopefully we can do. We'll have to wait and see. Any updates, as always, we will keep you posted. Brian Casey says we need a young Cavani. What I would give for a young Cavani? What I'd give for a 33-year-old Cavani, let alone a young one. I suppose 33 is still young. I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning outside Old Trafford with the latest news. Hopefully, we've got a bit more movement on Mbeumo because it's gone a little bit quiet there. Hopefully, we'll find out just what is happening with the striker situation. Are we going to go for Ekitike? Is there any change on the Viktor Gyokeres? What's going to happen? Arsenal going to get Benjamin Sesko, and does that change things? Or are they going to go for Viktor Gyokeres? Is that why he's sort of coming out all guns blazing for Arsenal? Because he knows that could happen. Make sure if you're not doing so already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Go and check out as well the other videos on the channel. Joe's done a really good video looking at Jason Wilcox, his influence, plus what went wrong with Alejandro Garnacho. That could be an hour-long one. Go and check those videos out. I'm Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk in a pretty sunny Salford. Thanks for watching.